Welcome to Priceless Takes.
And we are live from Brisbane, Australia. Welcome back, everyone, to Priceless Takes, episode 51, Super Bowl edition. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the Super Bowl, the biggest single event in all of sports. And joining me to talk everything about it is none other than the one and only David Price, aka the NFL Guru. David, how are you today?
Yes, I'm well, thank you, Luka. Very excited. Only, about 60 hours now before the game. I did get an invite yesterday to go, but due to my operation next week after the season finishes, I couldn't make it. So I'll be watching on TV and eating my party pies and sausage rolls in great anticipation.
That's right, David. There's nothing like a bit of post-season surgery. Every true athlete needs it every once in a while. So, we're all wishing you well. But I would be excited for the Super Bowl too, David, because your form in recent weeks needs a bit of a boost, and hopefully this game will give you a chance to get back in the wins column because you haven't been there for the past few weeks. So I am amongst the many who.
I'm still on the winner's side. I've just had a couple of little mishaps, and you're looking overly confident, young fellow. And this week you're going to get unstuck. So we'll just see. We will see who the real champion is after this week.
Maybe. For those of you who don't know, when we last did one of these episodes for last year's Super Bowl, we've only done 2 Super Bowl episodes in the history of this show, as we are only new. David did make the foolish mistake of picking the Philadelphia Eagles last year, whereas I was on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not sure. I have a rough idea of where David's going with this, but I don't know if he's going to pick against the Chiefs 2 years in a row. So we will get straight into it because this is it. This is for all the marbles.
I'm upset that Hurts dropped that ball and cost me the Super Bowl last year. I still think the Eagles should have won. I've got robbed again.
That's all right. Well, David, this is for all the marbles. Super Bowl 58 showdown, 4 years removed from the first Super Bowl these two teams played against each other. Patrick Mahomes is 2-0 against the 49ers in his career, which included a Week 7 thumping of the 49ers at San Francisco last year in Week 7. Now, one thing to note, David, although Mahomes is 2-0 in the wins column, he has 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the games against the 49ers. Now, Mahomes, these playoffs, David, is 68% completion, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, while Purdy, the opposing quarterback, 61% completions, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now, David, when we talk about Super Bowls, I think, are it's like every playoff game, but more so, I feel like stats become less and less irrelevant the further you get into the playoffs because it's a game of which quarterback and which team is going to rise up and which one will fall, and stats can't always predict that. So as we get further into the season, I tend to rely less and less on the stats, and the Super Bowl, I think, is the pinnacle of this, and you are the ultimate gut feel type of fellow. So
you're the
this
stats.
is. Well, I do have some stats for you today.
You got stats on how many sheets of toilet paper you need to go and do a poo. So I don't know how you're feeling in the game because you are just stats.
Well, listen, I think that I have a more nuanced approach to my analysis, and stats do make up a large part of it, but I also have a good pair of eyes, and that's what mainly judges my decisions when it comes to the NFL.
I'm going to say a good pair of balls because that's what you need to win a Super Bowl.
Well, that's what Patrick Mahomes had last year, and he managed to win it, so we'll see what he does again. But David, listen, I want to ask you the big question, straight off the bat. Who wins this game? What is the score? How do you see this game playing out? Purdy, will he complete the ultimate underdog story, or will Mahomes take a step closer to eclipsing Tom Brady and his GOAT status?
Well, you already know my answer before I even answer, so you should have a crack at saying what I'm going to say and see if you get it right, because the fairy tale is over for good old Brocky boy. He's done a good job. They'll be sacking him after this, looking for another quarterback because they have the best defense in the league. If they stick with him next year, it'll be another disappointment. He's just not there. He's going to be scared. He's going to be nervous. They want to run the ball for the first whole half and not let him throw it. because if he does, he'll throw a pick. They need to get off to a tremendous start. The Chiefs are the third highest blitzing team in the NFL. If they blitz him, Purdy's going to fold, choke, poo his pants. You name it, he's going to do it. I hope he's got to change of pants every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes or every time they blitz him, because Purdy is going to have a really, really tough time. Whereas we know Mahomes is the Iceman. He's going to have a lot more trouble with his defense, but he's going to be prepared for that. They'll probably run the ball a bit more as well. That's why we're predicting for every punter out there to take the line and under the line. The line's currently 47.5. And I'm tipping 27-20 to scrape in. You can take your own line, but it's a safe way. I think that Patrick Mahomes will now go into the GOAT territory with Andy Reid. And I shouldn't bag Purdy too much. I really feel like I shouldn't, because he has done a fantastic job to get where he's got from the third starter to now a household name in America and all around the world. So, well done to him. To get to Super Bowl's an amazing effort, something that every player wishes for. But Mahomes just got ice through his veins, and if he wants to be as good as Brady and talked about in the Brady-like era, then he needs to win this and keep putting rings on his fingers, which I think he will.
Listen, David, I appreciate your analysis, and I do actually want to ask you a follow-up question, because obviously we did see these teams play against each other 4 years ago. Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. San Francisco's defense allowed 21 points in the last 7 minutes of the game for an ultimate Chiefs comeback. Now, I'm looking at this game from the outside perspective, thinking, will San Francisco, can they mess it up again? Or do you think that they will learn from their mistakes and come out with a different game plan against Mahomes this time? Because I think personally, this Chiefs offense is not as good as the one that they played in Super Bowl 54. So how do you think it plays from that perspective?
Okay, so I tipped San Francisco at the start of the season to win the Super Bowl based on the fact how well Purdy did last year and based on the fact that I thought he would improve greatly. Now, in my eyes, he hasn't improved. I stated clearly for the books that Lamar Jackson had improved his arm, but wasn't still good enough. Now, Purdy hasn't improved enough to match it with Patrick Mahomes and the pressure, and that's what it comes down to. Mahomes, Iceman, Purdy, Scaredy Cat, that's it. That's the game. Mahomes for MVP. You can take the treble. You can take Kansas, Mahomes, and under 47.5, under 48. Woohoo! Happy days. You got to admit,
well, listen, Dave.
got out of jail the last two games. The defense has held Purdy in there. He's looked like a scared rabbit. He's played horribly. He's thrown picks. He tends to come good later in the game when his nerves have settled down, but it might be all too late this time.
Yeah, listen, David, I agree to an extent what you just said about Purdy, but like we talked about in our previous episode, I saw Brock Purdy lead an all-time great comeback and historic comeback against the Detroit Lions. I did see Brock Purdy last week lead a 17-point comeback, an all-time historic comeback against the Detroit Lions. Now, I'm not sure what you want to say about that defense, because they did not score those points. Brock Purdy and the offense scored those points, and you saw that with your own eyes, just as I saw that with my own eyes too. Now, there's a lot of elements I look at when we come to this game.
Can I just interrupt? I want to interrupt, okay? Detroit Lions absolutely blew the game. Campbell destroyed a match-winning lead. They completely, and I'm not allowed to swear on the show, so I won't, so I'll use the word stuffed it up, okay? That was a complete brain fade by Campbell, and it wasn't the Lions' fault. It was Campbell's fault completely. They were playing the Lions, Luka, not the Chiefs, okay? And Purdy's, I was on them, you know, and I told everyone to reload on them, as you know, okay? So I know both these teams well, and unfortunately, you just got it wrong.
Well, David, you haven't even heard what I've had to say yet. You haven't even heard what I've had to say yet.
No real point, because you're a stats man. You said that stats don't count as much.
Well, listen, David, I completely agree, but like I said to you, I'm far more than the stats, and that I was proved right last year when I said that Patrick Mahomes' greatness is going to outweigh the strength of that Philadelphia defense, who had an historic defense, 70 sacks on the season last year. And that was the talk, was it's going to be like Tom Brady and the Buccaneers 2.0. Mahomes will be running for his life in the Super Bowl because of his vaunted Philadelphia defense. And I said, no, that is not the case. And I'm telling you, David, that is not the case again for this Super Bowl, because there is something that this San Francisco 49ers team possesses that I don't think people give them enough credit for, and that is that they play to their coach's game plan, and that is why they consistently win. Now, why is this important, do you ask? Because for as much credit as I give the 49ers, you will laugh at me when I say this, David, but your man Josh Allen provided
my God.
I'm giving him a compliment. He provided
the poor guys on holiday
David, let me speak. Josh Allen and the Bills provided the perfect game plan on how to beat the Chiefs. Okay? And what did they do in this game plan? Okay, they ran the ball effectively, they stopped the clock, and gave Mahomes limited possessions with the football. We saw Buffalo run effectively with James Cook. We saw them possess the ball for 37 minutes of that game. Now, unfortunately, I believe that unlike Josh Allen, if push comes to shove, Brock Purdy can lead a game-winning drive against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. Now, Lamar Jackson had a complete brain fart, which I think is worse of a brain fart than what Dan Campbell had, because Lamar Jackson saw what Josh Allen and the Bills did the week before, and instead of saying, oh, yeah, we're going to run the ball exactly like Josh Allen did, they're like, no, we're going to throw the ball 37 times. And what happened? They lost. Now, David, where did San Francisco make their bread and butter last week? When Brock Purdy decided to run the football. When did Josh Allen...
They made it when Campbell made mistakes, you goose.
No, rubbish. Let me finish. When did Josh Allen cause the Kansas City Chiefs problems? When he ran the football. I am telling you, this Chiefs defense is good enough to shut down, to an extent, the 49ers' weapons that they possess. But what they can't shut down, and what we saw last week, is when Brock Purdy was in trouble, he used his legs and got himself out of situations. We saw Josh Allen do it, and he nearly won. We saw Lamar Jackson refuse to do it, and he got absolutely ramrodded, even though it was technically a one-score game. We can all agree Lamar Jackson completely folded in this game. Now, if there's one thing I know, is that Purdy, unlike other quarterbacks in this league, actually listens to the game plan, and the game plan is going to be to, when in doubt, run, scramble out, and that is how they are going to cause the Kansas City Chiefs problems. I have not finished yet.
Shut up for a minute.
No.
Oh,
David, who is the best running back in football? Who is the best running back in football? Answer my question.
Lamar Jackson.
No.
Lamar Jackson.
The running back. Running back, not quarterback. Who's the best running back in football?
You tell me, Luka. Seeing you so
Christian McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey plays for the San Francisco 49ers. So, if there is one team that is willing enough and equipped enough to run the ball on this Kansas City defense, because they ran on 185 yards by the Bills, there's no reason that the San Francisco 49ers can't do it too. They will run the ball on this defense. And what is going to happen is Purdy, who you give no credit, okay, is going to engage in a low-scoring game with Mahomes. And at the end of the day, Mahomes, as great as he is, he has not played his best ball in Super Bowls, David, okay? And these are where the stats do come in, because he has 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in his Super Bowl appearances.
You won't shut up.
David, you had the 4 for the first 10 minutes. 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
I got
is that good?
And you haven't shut up. Listen to me.
It's 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Listen to me for a second. Listen to me.
Please, for 1 second, go.
Right, thank goodness. Right, Brock Purdy, right, can't run. They weren't prepared for it last week.
So what happened last week?
So this week, because they weren't prepared, this week they'll be prepared, and they'll be prepared for McCaffrey. Right, you've got to understand, Reed is an outstanding coach. Campbell, he just got completely blindsided and lost his way. So Purdy won't be able to run the ball like he did last week. He's slower than you. I've seen you run, and he's slower than you. Now that's saying something.
Is Kyle Shanahan a good coach?
Yeah, he is.
Is Kyle Shanahan a good coach?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, right.
But Purdy's not as good as Mahomes.
But he doesn't need to be in this
Of
game,
course
David,
he
because
does. When
no,
he
he
throws picks,
doesn't.
when he gets sacked and throws picks, you'll see it, you goose.
How many points did Mahomes score last week in the second half?
Luka, you're the stats man. We all know that. Stop asking me stupid questions.
The answer to that is 0. Okay, Mahomes scored 0 points in the second half, and they relied on their defense to win them that game.
So
Sure,
did San Francisco, Nobby.
they scored 34 points. How did they rely on their defense?
Because the defense kept them in it for the first half because Purdy was playing so bad.
They scored 34 points. Kansas City, they scored double the amount of points.
Campbell should have gone for the 3 points and put the game away, but he went on the fourth down and they turned it over, and there was a 17-point turnaround in less than 4 minutes. Okay?
Just like Lamar.
So that's why you don't know what you're talking about, because Campbell lost the game, Purdy didn't win it.
David, listen, we can talk about what should have happened, what could have happened, but at the end of the day, we are sitting here talking about what did happen, and that is the reality of the situation.
So we should be talking more about Tay-Tay's party with Kelsey after the game, right? Because that will be a more bigger certainty than anything else, more bigger certainty than Purdy playing well and your 49ers winning, and then they're going to have a bad season next season unless they trade Purdy. Okay? That's one thing for sure. Because it's proven that you've got no idea.
David, let me ask you something. You didn't answer my question before. So 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Is that do you like that in Super Bowls? Do you a fan?
No.
Are you a fan of 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions?
No, of course not. But
no.
I back Mahomes and Reed.
Yes. Well, listen.
Look, I'll ask you this question because you keep asking all the questions. If Mahomes was playing for the 49ers, how easy would they win this game? And Purdy was playing. For the 49ers. Let's swap the quarterbacks. Purdy plays for Kansas, plays for San Francisco. What's the score? Oh, my goodness. That's 48-7.
David, listen. I am not arguing that Purdy is a better quarterback than Mahomes because I think anyone...
You think Purdy will make the Hall of Fame?
Anyone who is blind would still be able to see that Patrick Mahomes... Of course he could. But anyone who's blind can see that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy plays for the San Francisco 49ers and Patrick Mahomes plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Brock Purdy has 4 All-Pros on offense. Patrick Mahomes has 0. Travis Kelce didn't even make All-Pro this year. He has 1 All-Pro, and that's his guard. That's his guard. That's his guard who's not even playing. That's his guard who's not even playing. Okay? 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in a Super Bowl, okay? The last time Mahomes played the San Francisco 49ers in a Super Bowl, he struggled. This San Francisco defense, for as much credit as you give them, okay?
What was the score earlier in the year? What was the score earlier in the year?
Well, David, they played last year in week 7. Okay, and the quarterback in that game was Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, so I don't really
give
Jimmy's better that much leeway.
I reckon Jimmy's better than Purdy.
You're telling me I need to cancel a podcast if I think I would rather have Brock Purdy at the end of the game than Josh Allen. The reason Jimmy is better than Brock? Oh, you're kidding yourself.
No, listen. In his heyday, Jimmy was better than Purdy.
And when was his heyday? Was it while he was sitting behind Tom Brady for the Patriots?
Yes, it was. It actually was.
We didn't see him play. So how do you know?
He just got too old, like you.
We didn't see him play, so we don't really know. We did see him play, and we saw Jimmy Garoppolo was 1 throw away from...
Just because you tip Lamar to get beat, you think you're Stephen A. Smith. Seriously.
Stephen A. Smith didn't have a correct Super Bowl matchup, and I did, so I probably know more about him in this scenario.
Oh, hail, King Luka. You're going to be running with your tail between your legs next week when your man Purdy folds up. Listen, you'll come on here and you'll go, sorry, I was wrong again.
Wrong again. I don't think I've said wrong again since we've been on this show in the 51 episodes we've done. I don't think I've had to say I've said I'm wrong because I admit when I'm wrong, but I don't think I've had to say I'm wrong again. That's a bit of a stretch, Dave. I don't think those words have
What
had to be
about the
uttered yet
Rams
because it
game?
doesn't happen
The
very
Rams
often.
game. The Rams game. You cost every punter in Australia. They had to go and get mortgages on their house. You cost everyone so much money.
Listen, David,
You
please.
forgot about that.
We're gonna,
You forgot about that pretty quick.
listen, David. We're gonna stay on topic here. Now, I do want to ask. I do want
Yeah, you
to
want
ask.
to change the topic.
No. I want to ask how you see this game because obviously running the football is going to be a big strength for both of those teams, okay? The Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, they're both allowed rushing in the playoffs. So Kansas City has allowed 146 rushing yards against the Bills. They allowed 89 against the Ravens. The 49ers got 111 yards running by Green Bay, 155 by the Lions. Which team do you think runs the ball better in this game?
Look, I think San Fran run the ball better. Okay, but I've gone through the scores so many times in my head. One thing I think for sure is it's going to be a very close game. Okay,
Yes.
I've said what did I tip 20? Did I tip 28-21 or
You tipped
27-20?
27-20.
Righto. So it could be 28-21, 27-20. It could be 21-20. It could be 21-17. Okay, it's really that's why I think I said go under 49 and a half. Because I do see it being a close game. And I see it being very low scoring in certain patches of the game. Whether that's the start, whether Mahomes tries to throw it around early and try and really put the pressure on Purdy will be interesting. I know San Fran are going to run the ball early. I really do, to try and get Brock's confidence up and not get him down and out with a pick. That's one thing I'm sure of. That's why I think the first half could be very low scoring. And then Chiefs get out to a bit of a lead, and then Purdy's got to make his comeback and start throwing the ball. That's how I see the game. I see the Chiefs taking more risks early and San Francisco being more consistent, just trying to grind out, running the ball, so Purdy doesn't have to change his pants.
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be a close game for the whole game, and
So do I.
I don't.
I said that.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a close game, but the way you're talking is that Purdy's going to have to go on some comeback when when Kansas City takes
That's
the
when
lead.
he'll fold. That's when Kansas will lead. Unless they can get someone to run the ball over, because Purdy won't be able to throw a touchdown over at least until the second half, because he's scared. He won't sleep. He won't
Scared
sleep.
of what?
He won't sleep on Saturday night. You know that.
What's he scared of? Who's he
He's
scared of?
scared of everybody. He's scared of the crowd. He's scared of their defense. He's scared of throwing the ball. He just hasn't got it. Right? He'll need the personal doctor staying in his house that night to medicate him to go to sleep. He'll be that nervous. Whereas Patrick, he'll
Okay.
just be cool and calm.
So, in other words, you're saying that you think Patrick Mahomes has no pressure on himself in this game.
No, he's too cool.
Okay. But what about the
A bit like
pressure?
me when I used to play tennis.
What about, this is the thing I don't understand, is everyone's saying Patrick Mahomes has no pressure, no this, no that, no that. If Patrick Mahomes loses
He's got tremendous
to
pressure. He's got tremendous pressure, Mahomes, but he handles it better. Now, you played at a high level sport, so have I, okay? And we both know what the pressure feels. You get the butterflies, you get the pucker factor. From the Americans that don't know what the pucker factor is, that's when your bumhole tightens up because you're so nervous. That's what he's going to have. And Patrick ain't going to have that. Patrick's got the swagger, okay? You've seen guys fold up from penalty shootouts in soccer to double faults to jockeys dropping the whip to every sport. You've either got it or you haven't. Now, Brock just ain't got it yet. He might get it on Sunday, but I doubt it. Mahomes, we know, has got it.
Listen, David, I think there's a lot more pressure that's facing Mahomes than you realise, because Mahomes is entering this conversation of Brady this, Brady
Mahomes
that.
is the underdog.
But,
The bookies have got Mahomes. Bookies have got Kansas at 2.15 and
yes,
49ers
I
at
understand.
$1.78. So they're the underdog. So you've got that's one stat you've got wrong there.
Which is completely ridiculous that the Chiefs are the underdog.
What
by
was
the way.
your score, by the way?
Can I just know?
Mr. Statsman, did you give me your score before, Mr. Statsman?
Well, I didn't, because you were too busy talking about things that didn't happen and how Dan Campbell blew the game, so I didn't actually get to my scoreline. Okay, so basically, David, I'm gonna lay it out for you right here. Okay, so this is gonna be a close game, like we both said. Okay, and at the end of the day, I think that Brock and his ability to get out of the pocket is going to be the difference. And I have San Francisco winning a close game, 23-20 in this ball game. And I think it's going to be close, but at the end of the day, there's just something, and this is the thing, David. See, everyone last year, Philadelphia this, Philadelphia that, and I was like, no, it's just not happening this year. Even though Kansas are the underdogs, all I hear is Kansas this, Kansas that, Kansas. I didn't know a single person picking the 49ers in this game, considering they're favorites. But I'm telling you, David, the 49ers have been here before. They are not going to screw this up twice against Mahomes. It will simply not happen, and they will scheme up an effective game plan that will be able to get to Mahomes. And I believe Mahomes' streak of not turning the ball over.
You told all the punters about the Rams, and McVay got that wrong.
Well, no, he barely got it wrong. The Rams got borderline robbed too. What I also told the punters is that the Chiefs would beat the Ravens. They beat the Bills in both of those games that they were underdogs in. And what did they do? They went in there and beat them. So for someone who has seen this objectively, and now objectively, I'm picking against the Chiefs, just like I picked for them to win. It's not like I've been hating on the Chiefs this whole time, David. You seem to forget that. I'm picking this from an objective standpoint, which is why I'm telling you, looking from the outside perspective of this game, San Francisco are the better team. I understand Mahomes is the better quarterback, but at the end of the day, San Francisco are going to come together as a team, and they are going to win this game. Mahomes has not thrown an interception in 6 straight playoff games. I'm telling you right now, book it, interception Mahomes will throw. Okay? I don't know what, I'm sure the interception stats 0.5 over or under. Take the over. Mahomes will throw an interception in this game, just like he has in his previous 2 out of his 3 previous Super Bowls. Purdy, ability to get out of the pocket. San Francisco's ability to make plays on the outside. We have seen the Kansas City Chiefs give up big plays, David. If it's running the football to the Bills or getting 60-yard bombs from Lamar Jackson in that game, they have given up big plays in these playoffs, okay? Listen to me, because last year you didn't want to listen to me, and you looked like an absolute fool when the Philadelphia Eagles lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm trying to save you for the 2nd year in a row, so you don't come in here next week looking like an absolute fool when Purdy shocks the world, and the 49ers shock the world, and Mahomes falls to 2-2 in Super Bowls. I'm giving you one last chance, but at some point I have to let you make your own mistakes. The NFL guru, who honestly, actually, I might add one more thing. If and when you get this wrong, I think that the NFL guru title might have to be stripped from your name for the amount of blunders that you have had in these playoffs. But we can get to that on another day. I think I just needed to add that personally for my sake and for the viewers' sake.
My regular season form was better than anyone's in the world. Okay, Lamar didn't stand up, and Josh was just unlucky. Okay, so that you can just go with that. Okay, so because you can't cook, we're betting, and the winner is going to pay for dinner at our favourite Chinese restaurant, and that will be you. For the punters out there, I am tipping the line as the play of the day because I know it's going to be close. So it's a line bet under 49.5. Okay, either team can win. You can enjoy it like I will, and you can say sorry next week that you were wrong again. Okay?
Listen, David, I appreciate
Patrick, and both teams won't win next year. I'll put it on the record right now. Both teams, that's it. They won't make it next year. They're both gone.
Listen, David, you're jumping on the bandwagon too late. That's all I have to say to you. But for our viewers,
I tipped the 49ers at the start of the season, so everyone's
I'm talking
made money.
about the Kansas City Chiefs bandwagon. You're jumping on it too late. That's what I'm talking about.
No one's too late for Mahomes. He's a champion.
Well, I think you are because you're.
I wish Brock had shown me more So I didn't have to be a flip-flopper like you and change my opinion. But Brock just hasn't shown me enough.
Sorry, how have I changed my
confidence.
opinion? Just
No,
curious.
I was talking about the World Cup where you had 4 picks and you kept changing your mind every week and you still got it right.
Right. Well, that's ancient history now, David, okay? And listen, the World Cup happens once every 4 years, so that's 4 years in between each World Cup. So maybe you're allowed 4 picks in the World Cup every once in a while. But listen, the NFL happens every single season, and I picked the 49ers to actually be in the Super Bowl at the start of the season. I picked them to win it at the start of the playoffs, so I've been very consistent with my picks. I'm telling you right now, you are too late to jump on the Mahomes bandwagon just as I'm getting off at the right time, and you will be proven wrong once again. We're going to get into some hypotheticals now because I actually want to hear what you think about these topics. But for the viewers, before we move into this, David Price picking the Kansas City Chiefs 27-20. Myself, 49ers 23-20. At least one score is consistent with the 20. David, I want to ask you a question. Does Mahomes enter the GOAT conversation with a Super Bowl win?
Yes.
Yes. And my next question is, where would you rank Brock Purdy as a quarterback if he wins this Super Bowl?
Lucky quarterback. Couldn't win it with
Where
another
would
team.
you rank him? Where would you rank him?
Luka, he couldn't lead a goat up a hill. Okay? So he's just nowhere. He got lucky to win a Super Bowl. That's what I'll say to you.
I want to get you on the record.
And I'll tell you
If the
this.
score-
I'll make a statement right now, Mr. Stacks, and you put this in your book. Brock Purdy wins this Super Bowl, it'll be the only one he ever wins.
Yeah, that's look, the fact that he's even in a position to win a Super Bowl.
And if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he'll never win one.
Well, listen, time will tell, David, but I like your boldness with that pick. However, I want to get you on the record with a few things here because I want to know if this game is 2020, Brock Purdy has the ball, 1 minute to go, leads San Francisco down the field for a game-winning field goal, and they win the Super Bowl. Will you, David Price, rank Brock Purdy ahead of Josh Allen?
No way. No way.
So if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, something that Josh Allen's never done, not even get to a Super Bowl, you will still not rank Brock Purdy ahead of Josh Allen. Could Brock Purdy hang 55 points on the Kansas City Chiefs and you still wouldn't rank him ahead of Josh Allen? What does he have to do?
Because of his defense, that's the only way they win, and they won't score 55. So you're delusional.
55.
Have you been drinking that Kool-Aid again?
So if Brock Purdy hangs 55 on Mahomes,
Stop talking rubbish. Stop talking
But if he does, the hypotheticals for a reason. Will you rank him ahead of Josh Allen if he hangs 55 on Mahomes?
Listen, we're going to the Super Bowl in New Orleans next year. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out a bet we can have where you've got to pay for it because you're going to be so wrong.
Well, listen, if anything, I'm offering you double or nothing considering your shortcomings last year.
Well, I told you, if Hurts hadn't dropped the ball, the Eagles win. So I got unlucky.
Well, did he drop the ball?
Just move on because you're not going to score 55 points. Brock Purdy will prove to you that he hasn't got it. I can't wait for Sunday night American time and Monday night our time. I'll pity I'm in hospital. I'll be getting my Chinese dinner.
Now, listen, David, I do want to ask you this because you've been talking about the 49ers defense, but statistically, the Chiefs defense has been better than the 49ers in the regular season and in the playoffs. Whose defense do you think plays better in this game?
49ers.
So would you agree with me that Patrick Mahomes is going to have a turnover? Or does he keep his streak? Does he go to 7 games without a turnover? How good are they going to play?
I don't mind. He probably will have a turnover. Okay, he probably
but
will.
I'm curious to know, how do you see the 49ers defense playing better, but you see the 49ers losing? How does that work?
Mahomes has got the X factor. I've told you this before. Mahomes is a true leader and he can lift players. Purdy doesn't. They're two different. They're two different pieces of beef. Okay, one's an eye fillet, and one's a mince meat.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think that's an interesting comparison for this one, David. I don't
In
know. I
America,
don't know how I feel.
for our
I don't know
American
how I
viewers,
feel
they
about that
call it
analogy.
in America they call it a ribeye mincemeat.
Right. Well, it's a very interesting comparison. Luckily for Brock Purdy, although he may be mincemeat, he has got a huge feast to go with him and his mincemeat. Whereas Mahomes' eye fillet, I think, might be sitting there all by himself. So I don't know. You tell me what you think, because I like the feast that Brock Purdy has around him, and I think they're going to have a lot to say in this game too.
Looking forward to next week.
Well, listen, I know one thing. A lot of
Hopefully
49ers
I'm out of
players are
hospital.
mad.
Hopefully I'm out of
They're
hospital.
mad. Well, David, listen, I do want to get you on the record. Patrick Mahomes, I'm assuming, is your Super Bowl MVP.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Well, as good as Brock, I
Who's
think, is
yours?
go.
Because
Well, listen,
they're going to nail McCaffrey, and Brock is
you think so?
and Brock is not up for it. So who's going to be your MVP? You got that wrong as well.
Well, listen, I got the MVP right last year when it was Patrick Mahomes, okay? David, I'm going to tell you one thing right here, okay? I think that the reason this San Francisco defense is going to play so well is because Nick Bosa is going to have himself a game. And I expect him to have multiple sacks, maybe even a strip fumble, the way that the Chiefs have had some fumbling issues against the Bills, not so much against the Ravens. Give me Nick Bosa
Do you
to
know?
wreck this game and
Do you know
be
what I was
my
just
Super
watching?
Bowl MVP. There you
Before
go,
we
on the record.
before we got on, funny you say that. Before we just got on, I was watching highlights of Bosa. So there you go.
And do you like
Oh,
what you saw?
phenomenal. Oh, absolutely. I know him.
Because at the end of the day,
So there you go.
San Francisco's defense has been playing from behind the last 2 weeks, and they are in prime position to come out angry and to come out fired up. And that's exactly what I think they're going to do.
Well, that's why it's a free world that we live in Australia and America, and you can have your opinion even though you're going to be wrong. Okay?
Well, listen,
I look
David.
forward to my Chinese dinner. I'm going to
Well,
order
listen,
up
I'm going to go the way you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. We're going to have to,
five courses.
the way
Five
you're talking about
courses.
Patrick Mahomes, we're going to have to go for an eye fillet that you'll be paying for after I win. So we'll see. We'll see how it happens. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are less than 3 days away now from the Super Bowl. Stay tuned for highlights from the show as long as post-game reactions from the two of us. Myself, Luka Price, your host, riding with the San Francisco 49ers. David Price, the soon-to-be, I don't know, forgotten guru. We'll see how that goes after this weekend. Riding with the Kansas City Chiefs. That is all for Priceless Takes, episode 51. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok under the handle @PricelessTakes. David, best of luck for Monday. I wish you all the best. I don't really wish you good luck. You probably don't need it anyway, but we'll see how you go.
No Chiefs.
That is all for Priceless Takes, episode 51. I am your host, Luka Price, and we will see you next time.